the home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Boom! Shakalaka boom! Like my friend George Contupis, aka Killer Breeze, said, this was one hell of a late New Year's Day present gifted to me by those USC Skittle Shitters. That's right. And as I said in my little short the other day, playoffs? Playoffs? USC, you talking about playoffs? It seems like not only are they not talking about playoffs anymore, it seems like there's quite a few people within USC that are already turning on Linky Boy. Let's talk about it. Well, what do we have here? It's another episode of the OCF, that's the Outlaw of College Football. That's me, JPC. That stands for Jesse Paul Clark on Facebook, spelled J-E-S-S-E without the I. Also on Twitter at OCF Productions. Now, getting right to it. Seems like USC done got themselves back in the news again because they get on the national stage in Jerry World, and what do? They embarrass themselves once again. But before I get to all that, I'd like to mention a few names out there that have helped me with this show and helped me not only with this show, but in personal matters as well. And the following I would like to thank are Jonathan Lewis, first of all, my podcast partner, been with me by my side through all this. George Contupis, a.k.a. Killer Breeze. Bart Weisenhut. Christian Fam Channel. Check that out. That's a pretty good channel. If you want to get your religious fix, that's where you need to go. Tim Gillespie also. And personal things. Justin Bashal, Kenneth Qualls, Brandon Dunn, Eric, and Alicia, who's supposed to send me a cutting board pretty soon that I'm going to put up on the show for them. Lynn Abbott, Steve Pareto, Debbie Underwood, and Bobby Reeves. I'd like to thank all y'all for the personal things that you've done for me and as well as helping me with this show. Now, getting right back to it here. I couldn't have planned this even any better, man. This is like a gift. It's just like every time I try to leave y'all alone, y'all do something to get yourself back in the news. Then you get mad at me for talking about it, but you put yourself there. If you're going to put yourself in the news and embarrass yourself, people are going to talk about you. And first of all, I'd like to start with the whole thing where the whole Caleb coronation in this whole game is what it seemed. They put him on with his little speech, and he said the word damn, trying to be cool, and you could tell it was a forced damn. And if you're going to cuss every once in a while, you need to place it in such a way that it don't look like it's forced. Then you got him panning over to Linky Boy over there. I didn't even watch the Heisman Trophy, by the way. So this is the first time I'm seeing it. And his ears all welled up over there, but not one time did one of those crocodile tears make it out of those eyelids. Because both of them's farces, man. And I'm tired of them trying to push that narrative. It's like when the game was 42-30. They said, well, after the commercial break, we're going to come back and tell you about Caleb's cultural greatness. I'm like, what the hell is this going to be about? I could just see it now, man. They're going to be in there talking about how he helped the transgender marches and how he set up the transgender volleyball tournaments in Santa Barbara that I've been telling y'all about all year. And I was like, man, I ain't listening to this crap. So I turned it off and I went out and got in my car and started driving around and put on my CBS Sports Updater. Then I started seeing the scores coming in. I'm like, oh my goodness. Went from 45-30 to 45-37 to 39. I'm like, how'd that happen? Boom. A safety of all things. It's like the football gods wanted to embarrass USC just to start the year off right. And then boom, that safety was just the points that they needed in order to take the lead without even having to go for two. And beat Oklahoma 46-45. As once again, their defense gives up enormous amounts of yardage and points and can't hold a lead. A 15-point lead over Tulane. If you score 45 points, you should win at least probably 90 to 95% of your games. I think that's like twice that USC has lost when they scored over 40 points or something. Another great stat that I've seen. I'm going to throw up some graphs here off and on. Some of them random, some of them maybe apply to what I'm saying. But Lincoln Riley, since 2017, has given up 6 14-point leads or more. 6. That's more than any other FBS coach going today. And what's that say? It says a lot. It says, number one, he can't coach with a lead. And number two, he doesn't take defense very seriously. He's said he's going to take defense seriously and all that and yada, yada, yada. And now the solution, I can tell you right now, the straight solution everybody's going to is, oh, wow, let's fire Alex Grinch. But I'm going to tell you, just like I told y'all in another video, it ain't got nothing to do with Alex Grinch. It's Lincoln Riley. It's the way he coaches and the way he handles his offense. He don't really take his defense to account. He don't know how to work the clock when he needs to. He don't know how to maybe give his defense a breather and have a long, drawn-out drive right when he needs to. Sure, they've had some, but he just doesn't coach the way he needs to coach to put his defense in positive situations most of the time. Maybe he can get that rectified. Maybe he'll come around. I don't know, but he's been doing the same thing for the last 6 or 7 years. So it's hard for me to imagine he's going to change. He'll probably fire Alex Grinch. He's just going to get somebody else in there and do the same thing. Maybe he won't. For you USC fans out there, hopefully he'll change his ways and come around. But I just don't see it, man. I got lots of notes here today. I got 2 pages of notes for this. I hate to be so negative all the time, but these negatives about USC, to be honest with you, I know this sounds funny, but they're actually positives and feel-good stories for the rest of the nation. Because you're seeing these guys, they've won quite a few games, but you're seeing that when it really matters, they get unmasked. The karma and the farcity about them comes out for everybody to see, and it's glorious, man. I'll be honest with you. And everybody's like, why do you chuckle so much when you talk about Lincoln? Well, you know, when you see that clown or those clowns coming out of that one car, and you see it thousands of times, but every time you see it, man, you got to give a little chuckle. It's pretty funny, man, to see someone continue to be a clown, show in and show out, you know, especially when it's a big show, when it's on a stage that matters. Now, every single time that USC has played a team with double-digit wins this year, Utah twice, and now Tulane, they've lost. So what does that tell you? It tells you he can't coach the big games, man. Maybe he'll change. Maybe he won't. For the USC fans out there, they better hope that something happens. Some kind of an epiphany becomes upon him. Maybe he'll bring Lindale White in. Maybe he'll console and talk to Pete Cheat up in Seattle and find out how he can win, but he better not. He might get him on probation. Of course, the NCAA don't have any teeth right now, so now that stuff's probably legal, right? Now, looking at my notes here, yeah, seems like we're having an implosion within the USC ranks. You got a lot of USC fans who come in here and tell me, oh, no, this is just the first year. Some of these pitfalls are expected. One bad loss, blah, 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 blah. That's not what Lindale White said. Lindale White, his opinion somewhat matters in USC circles, considering he's one of those players that played for one of the last national championships that USC won under Cheat Pete. So his opinion matters. And Lindale said, and I quote, that bend but don't break shit defense, that's his words now, that bend but don't break shit defense is not going to cut it here at USC. And he ended with, this is his words, it's a shame to be a USC Trojan. This coming from a guy who won a national championship at USC. So there's some rumblings already. So y'all better get that in check. Y'all need to talk to Lindale or something, because people are just running with that. Now, Spencer Rattler versus Caleb Williams. You know, they had their little rivalry going on there at Oklahoma. How are they doing as far as things that have been accomplished? Let's see here. Spencer Rattler has beat Tulane. Barely, but he beat them. Spencer Rattler beat Oklahoma State. Spencer Rattler has won a conference championship, and Spencer Rattler plays for USC in a much tougher conference, and he wasn't scared to go to this SEC. He volunteered to go. Now, moving on down these notes. USC going 11-3 with that schedule, to me, would be like going 7-6 in the Big Ten or the SEC. Because they've lost to every single team that had double-digit wins. And they struggled with teams like Arizona. Almost lost to Arizona. Struggled with teams like Arizona and California and Oregon State. And Oregon State did go to a bowl and hand Florida their ass. Still, they have struggled with everybody, just about. Outside of Rice, maybe. And Fresno State. A bunch of non-Power 5 schools. So, the reason why I give y'all such a tough time is because Lincoln come in spouting lies and harmful stuff about his former employer. All he had to do was just take the job at USC and not run his mouth. He's been running his mouth all year. So now every time he runs that mouth, I'm going to grill him. Every time he messes up and embarrasses himself, I'm going to make sure he knows about it. And the biggest embarrassment of all to me in all this is, and people don't think about this, but the bigger picture of things is this. Oklahoma went 6-7 this year and still landed a top 5 class. When was the last time you heard of a 6-7 team finishing with a top 5 class? This after Lincoln Riley said, and I quote, "I couldn't recruit to Oklahoma." Well, you can't recruit to USC either. So maybe it ain't Oklahoma or USC. Maybe it's just you, man. Maybe it's just you. Maybe you're the one that can't recruit. Because you finished 10 spots behind your former team that you said you couldn't recruit to. That, to me, is a real big conviction on the kind of person, kind of coach you are, man. Until you can get those attributes about yourself in check, well, then you're probably going to continue to embarrass yourself going forward, and you'll probably be out of coaching altogether within 3 years. Maybe you'll end up with the Nagasaki egg rolls, as George Contupis, a.k.a. Killer Breeze, loves for me to say. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll be out of football altogether. USC fans, y'all might want to rethink your position with Lincoln Riley and maybe look for some way to get out of an expensive buyout. If y'all got one, y'all probably do. But you guys and gals, tell me what you think about all this. I just couldn't resist, man. I had to come in here and grill away. But with that, I'm going to get off of here. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And also, there's a heart down here. If you don't mind, hit that. Throw a few dollars in the coffers for me. Keep me off the YouTube tea. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.